Hi, I am Allie Camaletti, and you are listening to Snack Leadership. I will be talking about everything leadership, broken down into bite-sized pieces. You will hear what different leadership skills look like in organizations and how they can rise teams up or take them down. I help leaders build resilience and improve performance by bringing awareness to opportunity behaviors in my business. Spark your mindset. I provide leadership and sales coaching, as well as team building and guest speaking. My hope is for you to feel inspiration and to create a spark in your mindset. Hi everyone. Today we are talking about employee retention. Employee retention refers to an organization's ability to keep its employees and reduce turnover over a specific period. It involves strategies and practices aimed at creating a positive work environment, offering competitive compensation and benefits, supporting professional growth, and fostering employee engagement and satisfaction. Borja Cuan joined the performance advertising industry in 1998 and has built a career in the industry providing strategic business solutions for teams and clients. His track record of helping grow stable, successful organizations is underpinned by a career-long personal commitment to great client experiences. Borja combines big picture perspective with exact attention to make sure 415's clients and team members get value out of their work every day. Borja, thank you so much for this time today and sharing your passion for employee retention.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so let's start off with what is something you've recently learned about yourself?
Recently, not just yesterday, but I would say recently within the last, I would say 6 months, I think something that is quite meaningful that I learned about myself is the importance of investing in my overall health, both mentally, physically, um, just really the correlation between when I take care of myself, I'm much better in all areas of my life. And when I do not, I'm not as good. So it really um, makes a difference in terms of both my personal and professional life when I invest in myself by way of physical activity, the right nutrition, the right sleep, all of the things that are really important and sort of being complete in terms of your physical and mental health. So that's something that I think has just uh, been much more sort of top of mind for me is the constant um, sort of habits, behaviors to take care of myself. Because I think as you know, and as many of your listeners know, life is full of ups and downs, and not every day is sunny. And it's really for those days that are difficult and challenging that you need to be your best version to get through it. So that's something that I would say is a recent development.
So important. Yes. And especially, I feel like younger years, we can just go, right? And nothing really phases us. And as you have a family and you're in partnership and you have a business, it becomes more important to pay attention to these areas. Absolutely. I completely agree. So, employee retention. Let's talk about it. I mean, this is something you're passionate about. What led you to be so passionate about it and really embody this leadership skill?
Yeah, not a skill that I had forever. It was something that I uh, came to the realization of its importance by making a mistake, frankly. I'm only 8 years into being an entrepreneur. And when we initially launched our business, really the focus was on getting your first customer. We didn't care if that customer paid us, how much they paid us. We just wanted them to give us a chance, and we wanted to get the opportunity to prove to them that we were really good at what we did because we were very confident in our capabilities, and we were very confident that once we landed that deal, that that customer would be very happy. But because we were an unknown quantity, uh, we didn't have a lot of historical data that we could sort of reference. We didn't have a list of customers. We didn't have a proven track record as business owners. We did have a proven track record in that we've been in digital marketing for many years before, but we never had our own business. And so that mentality of just delighting customers, creating raving fans of customers, winning business, making sure once we won business, our retention rates were very high and our NPS surveys were very high, um, was really the focal point for us as business owners. And so um, we were relentless in customer happiness and satisfaction. And what we failed to realize is that it came at the cost of our employees being happy. And the reason it came at the cost of our employees being happy is because in order to achieve the high standards that we had with customers, we were demanding a lot from our team, which is okay, but it needs to be balanced in that we can't overwork them to the point where they're burned out and tired and unhappy. And so employee retention became something that I had to focus on because I was observing the business. And while our customers were very happy and they were renewing and they were referring business to us, I was realizing that our team wasn't as happy as our customers. And so I had to make a major sort of pivot in the way I was leading the company. And first and foremost, I needed to get in front of the entire team and acknowledge my mistake as a leader and tell them that I recognize that I was prioritizing customers over employees, and that wasn't the right strategy. And in fact, I made a mistake, and that I wanted them to know that I made a mistake. And I also wanted to know them to know why I was so focused on customers. It was because of every reason I just stated, right? I didn't have bad intentions. I just didn't execute the plan as well. Meaning, you can have happy customers and happy employees, and I was sort of failing to recognize that, and so I made a switch, and sort of now one of our mission or core values as a company is employees over customers or clients.
Because when your employees are in a good place, it will flow to your clients. And was there a specific defining moment that made you realize this?
I think it was conversations with the team,
Mhm.
really spending time with them and understanding a day in their life and understanding the demands that were being placed on them, both by the client and sort of the internal demands placed on them by management. Um, and really starting to feel like they were not happy, right, in their jobs.
Yeah.
We were delivering results to our customers, and the numbers were sort of good. The customers were happy, but I just didn't feel, based on what I was hearing through sort of direct feedback, but also anonymous feedback through surveys and things like that, that the team was at an all-time high in terms of happiness. Not everybody, but there was the majority, I would say, were all feeling similarly. Um, so I think it was not one in particular one thing, but it was sort of a few things through observation and feedback that I sort of came to this realization.
So when you realized this, did you find a company out there that you felt was doing really good in this area and look at what they were doing right to make those changes, or how did you make that shift happen?
Yeah, I mean, I, as a consumer, as a customer, whether I'm at a hotel or a retail store or a restaurant, I always really appreciate when I observe staff that does a good job. Like I'm one of these people that will when I see someone working at a hotel or retail store and they're doing such a good job and they're happy and they're delivering great customer service, I always say, how long have you worked here? You must be very happy. They must treat you well, right? Allo is an example of that. Just a retail store right across the street from where we have an office, and every staff member in there is so pleasant. They greet you on your entry. They greet you upon your exit, and they're always coming and asking, "Can I help you with something?" They're smiling. The energy they bring is very positive. And I have other examples like that I've experienced recently and long time ago. So usually when you do business or partner with someone based on how their employees treat you, uh, how they're being treated. I think there's huge correlations there. So I've always observed that and really appreciated it when I've done business with people where their employees are happy, and that's sort of translating to the service they provide me. And I've seen it on the other end, which is when people aren't happy. Wow, you can really see that in the way that they're handling business with you, right? Because there are still examples of that I see today as well. Um, so I didn't really, read a book or study other companies. I just sort of have a certain level of, I think, self awareness and understanding from just listening to what the problems were directly from the people that were affected and what they wanted as changes, in addition to the ideas I had on how we could make this a better culture for them in terms of the work, right? And a lot of it was really around just first and foremost, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, communicating to them that I made a mistake, that I take full responsibility for overlooking things that impacted them as team members. Like I made a mistake. I acknowledge that and I'm sorry. Number one, you have to start there, right? Because it means a lot to people. We all make mistakes, but it's how we respond and react to the mistakes we make, right? That makes the difference. And what are we going to do about it, right? So it's first acknowledging it and communicating it directly, very openly to them, and letting them know why I did it to help make more sense of it and still acknowledge it was wrong. And most importantly, what are we going to do as a result to make a difference and make an improvement? And that's what we did. And we said, listen, now we understand it's actually employees over clients. So you need to know what that means to us. And it was just a lot around how do we make this so that you guys aren't working so many hours, right? We have to sort of start monitoring this and insisting you take your PTO and that you're not working nights and weekends, and really limit those nights and weekends to when you have really important deadlines. But in general, 85 to 90% of the time, you shouldn't have to do that in this job, right? And if the client is demanding that of you, let me help you as a leader. I'm not going to put that responsibility on you. I'm going to talk to them and I'm going to say, hey, listen, right? This is out of scope, or we've already allocated the number of hours that we're allocating to you this week, that the rest of the work has to be pushed to next week, right? Like there are things that we can work on together to manage the client relationship so that the client feels that we're delivering service at a high level, but at the same time they can't sort of place these demands on you unfairly, because that's going to affect you and your experience here.
I really appreciate that you're speaking to this because, especially in the vacation rental industry that work in primarily, a lot of owners will take on more homes. They will just keep on taking on homes and keep on taking on homes because it's that same entrepreneurial spirit of like, I just got to keep taking it. I can't say no because you never know when things are going to shift. And that's the livelihood of all these employees. But yet, not understanding that when you do get to a certain point, you need to add more employees too. You can't just keep taking without adding on staff. So, yes, so good. What other benefits have you offered team members that you have felt have been really helpful in your organization to make them feel valued?
I mean, we really we are very generous with time off, that
Mm-hmm.
and encouraging people to take time off, including sick days, where I basically say to the team, you get, in addition to your time off, paid time off, we're giving you 5 sick days, which I say to them, these are not days where you have to have the flu. If you're perfectly healthy and you just want to take it as a mental health day or as a whatever day, just this is part of your time off. I want you to use it, right? You don't need to be sick. Just say you want to take a day off and use this as another vacation day. We're also just constantly, tracking just work time for teams and accounts. How many accounts do they have to make sure that the balance is commensurate with what we consider a full work week? We don't want them doing more, right? So we really pay attention for every staff member how much work they're managing or how many accounts they're managing, and we know exactly what the right amount is because we want them to really have fewer accounts, but to go deeper with those clients and feel like they don't have very little time to spend on them, right? Because oftentimes someone will say, well, I'm spread too thin because I manage 20 clients. That's what I'll hear from candidates that I interview. And I said, how could you manage 20 clients? Here, each team only manages 4 to 5. And that seems like a full workload. So if you have 20 accounts, I can only imagine you're spreading very little attention across those 20 accounts if you're expected to do that. So I think it's just managing workload. It's ensuring and really encouraging people to take time off, celebrating it when they do, right? Reminding them to do it. Also, during the day, we're encouraging people to, go out for a walk, take a meeting from a phone and go for a walk. Um, get up and stretch. Like we're very much encouraging people to have a very um, healthy and active lifestyle, even though I can't put that requirement on you because it's frankly none of my business what you're doing. But I do say, hey, I want you all to be taking time off when you need to spend time with your family, spend time with your friends. I want you to work, but I also want you to take advantage of the free time off that we give you and not sort of say I have to work.
Yeah. I'm just thinking back to my account management days and how it was so interesting. The thought was is that if you have a big client, right, then you could have less big clients because the money made up for it for what that client brought in financially.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first started, I had a lot of little clients, and I had to explain to them those little clients are more high maintenance than the big clients because the big clients have infrastructure. The little clients, they want me to do everything, like all of it. And they finally started to realize that was the case, and we had to put some boundaries there because it was just kind of how it worked back then in those days.
Yeah,
So,
small doesn't correlate with less time always, you know.
no.
To your point, in fact, they have less resources, therefore they ask you to do more. So it doesn't on the outside you wouldn't think that, but on the inside, as a person that's experienced it, you know that.
Exactly. How about a mentor that has really helped you?
I
Who's
would
somebody?
say, yeah, I mean, I would say I go back to my first job out of college. I mean, there are people that have influenced me in my life, many people. To be honest, it's not one, but I go back and I reflect, and I think it was my parents, and really um, the example they set as two hardworking people, raising 4 kids with not a lot of income, um, and the the commitment to their jobs or careers, and 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 not making a lot of money, but just not complaining and doing the work. They just did the work. They were focused on putting food on the table, right? My dad didn't get big raises, probably should have made a lot more money, but he just, went to work every day. And my mom, small business owner, there were many days where she wouldn't make any money. She wouldn't make any sales in her little business. She would still do it. So those things are like, things that I reflect back on, and I think of my parents and how hardworking they were, and how they did it with very little resources financially. Um, And then I think of, teachers that I had, going back to, sixth grade, seventh grade. I think of teachers that I remember that really influenced me, coaches that I played sports growing up that had an influence on me. And then once I joined, the corporate world, at my first job working for an internet startup, I was always sort of admiring some of the more seasoned and experienced members of the company, and I gravitated towards them, and I wanted to study them, and they ended up I took the initiative proactively to ask them to sort of mentor me, take me under their wing. I would ask them to go to coffee, and through those interactions, I learned a lot from them on sort of how they achieve success in their life, right? Because I always look at a successful person and I love to just ask them, no different than when I see a very healthy person who's my age or older, what's your recipe, right? Forget if assuming it's not genetics, like what is your recipe to look so healthy or to have achieved success? Like I just love asking that question because I want to learn about that, right? And so that's what I did when I first started working, my first corporate job. Even hotels in the summer, I learned from people that I would work with. So I think every job that I had, I learned from somebody something. There wasn't one person. I could name, six or seven different people that you wouldn't know, but they were all part of my sort of experience.
I like it. How about a quote that you feel really embodies this leadership skill when we talk about employee retention?
Yeah, I would say it's treat others how you want to be treated. Um, and when I say that as it relates to employee retention, it's just a very simple and straightforward statement. And when I say that, I recognize that, as you grow an organization, you realize that every person is unique and everybody has different needs, different wants, different goals and objectives, right? Everybody wants to be spoken to differently, right? So it's not a one size fits all approach when it comes to management. You really have to get to know each person individually and understand what their motivations are. What are their goals professionally, financially? And then you have to sort of work with them on that, right? What I'm talking about is really just the fact that, having empathy, treating people with respect, being kind, um, those are the things that I think is really important, right? No matter who the person is and what their aspirations are, where they came from, just those three things, empathy, kindness, respect, is something that universally every human being deserves, right? And if you do that, you will build a great foundation when building relationships with the team, right? And there will be other things that you need to do, but if you miss any one of those things, it's going to be really hard, right? For people to really want to work for you, for people to be excited about being part of your company. So if at a minimum you do that, then I feel like, you have a good base. The other thing I'll say too is honesty and trust is so important in relationships, right? Being honest with people, being trustworthy, um, is so important when it comes to the team, because a lot of times people want to know, right? And sometimes honesty and openness may be hard for them to know, but a lot of times they respect that more than you not telling them, right, what's on your mind. So I think like having trust and just kind of like yeah, just that's really important. That would be the other thing.
Yeah, as you were talking, what came up for me is the old school Brene Brown talk on vulnerability and how vulnerability builds trust. And I was just
Hmm.
having this conversation with someone who was like, I'm afraid the person's going to look down at me and think I'm stupid because I don't know what she's talking about and I do need her help, but I'm scared. I can't figure it out. And I'm like, yeah, get vulnerable.
It's
Makes a
so true.
difference.
It's so true. It's so powerful what you just said. I really appreciate that in people, right? Like their willingness to acknowledge. hey, I don't understand that, right? I've been in situations where I'll talk to someone for 30 minutes and they actually didn't understand anything that we were talking about, and they'll go on.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel worse than someone who's like, hey, I got to stop you because as hard as this is for me to admit, I didn't understand that. Can you explain it? And then at least I know that they'll always, like I give you a lot of credit for raising your hand and not letting me continue, right? That vulnerability thing, it works both ways. I, as a leader, need to also be vulnerable with my team. And I've done that and I could do it more. But that is how they really learn to respect you, but also connect with you more deeply.
Yeah. So good. I love this conversation. Okay. What's your favorite snack?
Oh, that's easy. Chomps. Chomps is grass-fed beef jerky. I eat it all the time. Yeah, it's really good.
Okay. I know what you're
It's
talking
got
about.
it's got 10 grams of protein. So I'm a big protein person. So I make sure to hit my protein goal. And that isn't the only way, but it's definitely a great way to supplement. So I that's my favorite snack.
I love it. Is there anything else that you want us to know about you, Borja?
Not there's nothing more. I think we've covered a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate your share, and I'm so grateful to have met you. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you for tuning in to Snack Leadership. I hope you felt inspiration, motivation, and felt your mindset spark. Snack Leadership is recorded and produced by myself, Ali Camilletti, and music by Shireen Amini.